All right, this is the video overview for circuit workout number 2, dumbbell only. So if you're jumping into this now, make sure you watch the first video before doing this one. In the first one, I talk about some safety issues and how to set up some different things. So if you haven't watched that yet, start with that and then move on to this one. Because for this one, I'm just going to review the different exercises for this circuit. So similar to the other ones, we're going to start and finish with a core. We're going to have alternating between pushing and pulling in between along with our lower body stuff. So for our first one is our hip rotations. And so normally you hear these called band hip rotations in the weight room, right? Because we do this. We have hands on the wall, we have our partner anchoring a band looped around our foot behind us, and we're rotating in and away, right? So since we don't have the band or a partner to use, and again, we're kind of using this as a kickoff to the circuit, we can do these on air and still get the same benefit, right? So we want to start to use some of that hip flexor stuff, right? So from here, I can balance on the wall, I can use this pillar in front of me. We probably don't need, you can still do them the traditional way with your hands on the wall, but we could probably do them here and get them working a little bit more of our balance, our proprioception. But all I'm doing is I'm rotating up and in towards with that knee, and then for my other reps, going the other way, right? So I'm going to do my 10 inward, my 10 outward, and then I'm going to switch legs. Just remember, you know where we are trying to get the hip flexor working here. We want to not just crush the hip flexor. We want to think of this almost like a core exercise. So I'm crunching that knee up and wide. So if I'm going to do it from this angle, I'm going to go high and wide, and I'm crunching that knee up and in to engage my core and my lower abdominals as I'm doing this. Okay, I'm not just lifting up that hip flexor. Do one leg than the other. Okay, our first dumbbell exercise is our floor rows. This is one of our tougher ones, right? Especially because we tend to not breathe well during this. I see a lot of times we're holding our breath and we're getting real red in the face. And also because we're not using our full body enough. Okay, remember, we're training you to be athletes, not bodybuilders here. Okay, so although you can do these straight and isolate and row, really what we want to do is get those hips involved, right? So, and I do that by cheating my feet up a little bit, almost like I'm in that bear crawl position, okay? And then I'm going to turn those hips a little bit, rock onto those toes, and I'm going to alternate sides. And I'm just going to squeeze into my chest here, okay? The other mistake I see is we go out like this. So when we go to pull, we're almost like pulling it up and back or pulling it into our face. So just like we were doing a 3-point row, right? That should be underneath our chest. We're pulling and squeezing into our chest, not our chin or our face, right? So make sure we're on top of it enough, right? So once we're in that good position, those dumbbells are right underneath in line with my chest and my shoulders, right? And if you can see me from the side here, even though we're cheating those feet up to get our hips involved, my back is still flat, okay? Sometimes we're doing this, I see, right? So we have that good flat back, just like we're doing the 3-point row, and we're rocking those hips and getting the whole body going there, okay? Next one is our dumbbell swings. So, kind of two approaches to dumbbell swings. One is more of a hip hinge, okay? So what I mean by that is like a hip extension, versus what's more of like an RDL kind of motion or a posterior chain exercise, okay? So I'll show you what I mean in a second, but when we do these, so you're gonna take one dumbbell, you're gonna hold it in your hands, okay? For us, for the purposes of this, what I would suggest doing actually is more of the hip hinge version, okay? So when we think hip hinge, we're thinking this with our hip extension, right? So we're thinking like what we do when we hang clean, that good hip hop. And oftentimes, if you have an injury, you might have done these as a modification where if you can't maybe hurt your wrist or your hand, you can't grip the bar, you can't do hang cleans. We do our dumbbell swings instead, as opposed to more of the RDL version of a dumbbell swing, where we kind of just unhinge our hips slightly and decelerate that weight, okay? Here, we want to get that good depth, that good bend, okay? We really get that good full extension. Just think of your arms and the dumbbells are connected together, okay? And all you're doing is extending those hips to create the momentum, right? I'm not using my shoulders at all to lift the weight. And it's one fluid motion into the next for those, okay? Next one is our bench, okay? Now when we use our bench, we just want to make sure we're on something stable. I commented on that a lot in the first video. For me, I'm going to be using this, okay? But whatever I'm laying on, okay, just make sure that, okay, that you're locking out those hips, right? So more than likely, unless you have a regular bench, okay, your hips are gonna hang off a little bit, okay? So you can see mine here. So I don't wanna let them sag, right? I wanna just, no matter what, even if my hips are hanging off a little bit, I wanna squeeze that butt, engage my core, keep my back in a good alignment, and then I'm doing my bench. Now just remember, as I commented on this in the first video, we don't have, or we might not have a spotter, right? So especially for this type of exercise, just be careful when you're pushing for those last couple reps at the end, knowing you don't have a spotter. So a lot of times that could be we're not wrenching our shoulder or elbow, or just letting the dumbbell drop, right? Put a dent in our floor or drop onto our foot or our ankle or something. Just be smart and know that, hey, it's gonna look maybe a little different if we're working out by ourselves. Be smart, okay? Next one is our side lunge, okay? So I'm gonna just review the side lunge without any resistance or added weight, okay? Because this is, again, one that we tend to mess up in the weight room, right? I actually like doing these with less weight, okay? And even doing these on air initially, because sometimes when we do too much weight, we tend to not get the full range of motion or not be as explosive with that pop-up that we should, okay? So if you're looking, if you can see down, it might be tough to see from the video, you're gonna see a line here in my mat. So I want to, when I step, directly to the side, right? I'm trying not to step forward. If anything, maybe I want to step slightly behind, right? Slightly behind would be better, okay? And the foot that steps, all right, that's the one that I want to really sit on. I want to keep my weight on my heel, and I want to drive up with that butt. That glute is going to do most of the work. The other leg, the one that stays behind, I'll show you from different angles here, that's the one that's got to stay fairly straight, right? So whether you're starting from a march position or you're just starting from here, okay, as soon as we step up into the side, and you can see right now I'm sitting on that heel and this butt's engaged, right? This trail leg, and I'll show you from another view, isn't doing anything besides staying straight, right? Almost rocking back onto that heel. So again, whether I start down or up, I step to the side and I sit, and that trail leg stays straight as I'm going throughout. Okay, so how do we add dumbbell weight to this or make it more challenging? I think the easiest approach is to just do a goblet style, right? So whenever we think of goblet style, essentially all you're doing is adding body weight. So for this, I'm going to hold it goblet style, and I'm going to perform the same exercise, stepping up to the side, sitting, and exploding up. Making sure that I'm not hunching forward, right? That dumbbell's not allowing my chest to collapse forward, right? I'm really keeping that proud chest, sitting, on keeping this leg fairly straight, and then driving up. Do all one side and the other. Actually, a way to make it slightly easier is to alternate sides, right? Do right, left, then left, okay? Next, upper body is our kickback flies. So for this, we need to think about getting our body in good posture and proper alignment and maintaining it throughout. So the easiest way I found to teach these is to show a fly first, like what a traditional fly motion is, you know, like the chest exercise version of the fly, and then show the path that goes opposite of it, or opposes that for our kickback flies, right? So when we do a regular fly, this motion, right, think of that chest exercise, the middle of our chest especially, is we have a slight bend in our elbows, our thumbs are up, and we're squeezing in. And we maintain that slight bend in our elbow the whole time, right? So our starting position is shoulder, our shoulder depth, our finish position is out here, extended, okay? So kickback flies, we're literally going the opposite way. So I'm starting out here, okay, where I finish, and then I'm rotating back to where my thumbs are in line with my ears. So instead of fly, reverse fly. It seems like a simple idea, but when we need to accomplish that by getting into a bent over position here, okay? Again, I have almost think of it like similar to an RDL. Slight bend in my knees, proud chest, okay? And then once I'm locked in, I'm not trying to use momentum and stand up. I see a lot of people do this, right? I kind of exaggerating here, almost looks silly, but we really want to keep that torso position locked in. Right? That's kind of a theme for all of our back exercises, right? So we get that good torso position and we're here, okay? I'm really kind of just controlling that, okay? Good, even, consistent tempo, okay? You want to get a little bit flatter, that's fine. It's kind of hard for me to kind of look at the camera at the same time. But again, as long as we have a fairly, a slight inclination or in between there and a flat back, we should be good to go. Again, what we're trying to do is isolate that scap area in the middle of our back, okay? Don't get heavy with those. Don't get heavy. Okay, I would rather see you go light, use light dumbbells and increase your reps than try to pick up these big guys and muscle through it. That's when you're gonna wanna extend your hips and use momentum, okay? Stick with lighter weight selection for that for sure. Next one is our single leg RDLs. So this is one of the reasons I put this later, because I kind of wanted the variation from our dumbbell swings, where we do more of the hip hinge with our dumbbell swings. With our RDLs, remember, it's same arm, same leg. So I'm going to show you on air first, and then I'll add the dumbbell component. But again, another one we don't need to get super heavy with, right? The target area for our RDLs, whether it's a single leg or the traditional two at the same time, is right underneath our butt, top of our hamstring, right? So for this, same arm, same leg. So my right foot is down. I'm going to have a dumbbell in a second in my right hand. And as that dumbbell goes down, I'm going to let that heel swing up behind me. So dumbbell goes down, heel comes up. Okay, and it's this kind of this seesaw motion, right? So as that dumbbell goes down, I want my heel to come up behind me to where I finish almost like I'm parallel or flat to the ground. Okay, so ideally, you want to, the cue that you get us if you're in the Kundy with us in the weight room is stare at yourself in the mirror. Why? Because we want our eyes to see straight ahead, a neutral or forward gaze. It's going to keep our upper body in a better alignment or better posture, and it's also going to put the emphasis more on our hamstring than our lower back, right? So a lot of times when we look down, now that's going to make us want to arch our back a little bit, and it's going to be, we're going to get a little bit more, too much back and not enough hamstring, okay? So for this, the big thing is, get your balance point first, okay? So we have our fairly light dumbbell. We're gonna find our balance point first, and then as that dumbbell goes down, we're gonna let that heel come up, and then we're gonna kind of squeeze our hips through and finish at the top, just like that, okay? Now, if you're finding that you're going too far down, you could always elevate, although I don't think that would be a problem for a lot of us, okay? We don't usually run into that with the single leg as much as we do with the two legs at the same time, okay? So do all one side and the other. Next one is our military press, and we're gonna do these with a single arm, although honestly, you could do them with both. So anytime you see military press, all we're doing is, whether it's dumbbells or a bar or a band, we're pressing straight overhead, right? So for this, you know, we could do both at the same time, if you would really prefer. Just make sure that your range of motion is right about the top of my collarbones to almost fully extended arms going overhead, okay? Or, how I have it on the program is a single arm. I kind of like doing a single arm because it makes you engage your core, your actually that opposite oblique is really firing as we're doing this, okay? But if you're doing it, just again, don't overextend or rock. We're not using momentum, okay? You can get a little bit of like a punch, okay, as we're doing this, but try not to. Some of us like really rock and extend, and then we're really over rotating, I think, with that shoulder, overextending with that shoulder, okay? So we don't really want to do that. We just want to get that. If we get a little bit of a hip hop and a punch, that's fine, but we really want to feel this throughout our opposite core there, okay? So all one leg and the other. Just make sure, if you don't do a lot of overhead pressing, maybe you're a novice in that area, don't get super heavy the first time through, okay? We don't do a ton of overhead stuff, especially in certain sports, okay? So, especially if you're an overhead throwing athlete, just be smart with the overhead stuff as far as your weight selection, especially because this exercise is later on in the circuit. So if you're already fatigued, all right, maybe you're fatigued from doing the bench and some of the other stuff, just be smart with that, okay? Last one, no weight involved. Okay, this is one of my favorite, what I would say, non-traditional core exercises, but it really helps target your hips and your lower back, is our stationary bear crawl hold. So you can do these moving, but I found that you could really get the same benefit, if not a greater benefit from not moving, from maintaining a consistent posture throughout. So all we're going to do is we're going to kind of get in that same position that we did with our floor rows, right? So my hands and feet are similar to close together here, and I like to put these on the same workout like this because you want to do them tired, right? Because when you're tired, it's really going to make all those intrinsic muscles fire for that and get the full benefit of the injury prevention, which is really what we're looking for right here, right? So I'm in that similar posture here, and all I'm going to do is slightly raise my opposite hand and foot at the same time, right? So just like our Superman, just like our bird dogs, we're going to do opposite arm and leg at the same time, and I don't want any upper body movement. I want to be as stoic as possible. I don't want those hips to rock. I want that belly button to go straight down, and I just want to hold that position with one foot and one hand, opposite hand and foot elevated at the same time. Okay? So that takes you through all 9 exercises. Remember, you're gonna go through that sequence 3 times for your 3 rounds, and then you're gonna finish with your core exercises. So in this circuit, the finishers for your core are our Russian twist and our side planks, okay? So I'm gonna demo them, but just a couple comments, right? We just wanna do a twisting motion, right? So whether we do our Russian twist with, our dumbbell weight, okay? And we're going side to side here, okay? So twisting, remember, if we have low back issues, I commented on this in the other circuit, it would probably benefit you to put your feet up on the wall, okay? Again, and do the same motion. Okay, so you can do them this way with our twisting. You can do them on air like I was, okay? But whatever we're doing, we're rotating our upper body, right? So we're not just touching our hands. This is not a Russian twist or a twisting exercise or core exercise, right? This is, right? So actually this camera is in a great view because as I do this, right? As I do this, you should be able to see my t-shirt turn and read that Lehigh as we're going, right? So as I turn, you should be able to read that Lehigh across the top of my t-shirt. Shoulder to your chin, good full rotation, no matter which option that you choose there, okay? But we could do our wall iron pirates. Really, again, we just want to make sure we're doing a twisting core exercise there. And then our last one is our side planks. So we're just going to get in that side plank position. Our hip is locked out, and we're just going to add a little bit of weight to our hips here, okay? So you'll find you probably don't need a lot of weight here, okay? But we're just squeezing that bottom butt cheek. If we need to reinforce pulling that shoulder back, we can just accomplish that by pointing our fingers straight up towards the ceiling here. We can hold this position, we can place our hand on our hip, we can hold the dumbbell. Just, again, making that side plank a little more challenging. But if that already is challenging, you don't need to add weight at all. You can finish with just a regular side plank for 30, 45 seconds or a minute each side, okay? So that just took you through all the exercises, took you through the core. If there's any questions, hit us up. If not, let's get after it. Go Lehigh.